Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with fantastical vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together.
Welcome to episode 62 of Wanderlust and Wishes. Today, we're going to talk about Universal Orlando with kiddos. But first, we have some so very exciting news coming out of Disney World.
This was a complete surprise, and I'm actually surprised they didn't wait till D23, which is coming up. But Animation Courtyard in Hollywood Studios will be reimagined into a space that's focused on animation.
Yay!
A brand new experience. The magic of Disney animation will take over from Star Wars Launch Bay. That was so this will be, they're saying 2026. And the courtyard itself will be reimagined as a nod to Walt Disney Studios with new green spaces to enjoy and a new Disney Junior show on the soundstage. The Sorcerer's High is returning! Yay! If you're a Walt Disney World purist, everybody's been mad that this was taken away when they redid
MGM to Hollywood Studios.
Yes. So atop the entrance to a building inspired by the Roy E. Disney Animation Building at the California headquarters. I'm so excited. Step inside to find an animator's workshop where the animators have stepped away and the characters have come out to play. If you saw the series or the little short on Disney Plus, like a nod to that.
There's even going to be a playground. The Drawn to Wonderland playground will be inspired by Alice in Wonderland concept art from Mary Blair. So exciting. With an oversized flower garden of musical instruments, a Mad Tea Party playset, and a Tulgey Wood exploration area. We think this is fab because as parents, we know that in a kid's mind, playgrounds are second only to pools as highly memorable parts of a Disney vacation. And I do not think that Walt Disney World has enough playgrounds just in general. So this is freaking amazing.
Especially Hollywood Studios has been so lacking in toddler friendly spaces.
Yeah. So even outside the building, Animation Courtyard will receive updates to bring these animation focused attractions together as a reimagined Walt Disney Studios lot with inspiration from other buildings found in Burbank. The Little Mermaid, a musical adventure, will still remain in its current location. And on stage, a new Disney Junior show will be introduced, and the grounds and courtyard area will be refreshed with trees, seating, and space to relax, take a break, and maybe even spot a few characters hanging out, which is so fun. That would be awesome if they just walk through.
When it's just a cement heat trap.
Yes, I agree. This is so, like you were saying, this is so needed. That space back there it's such a large area that's not been utilized. To prepare for this reimagining, Star Wars Launch Bay and the Disney Junior Play and Dance will close beginning September 25th, 2025. The Little Mermaid, a musical adventure, and Walt Disney Presents will remain open and accessible to guests. So this is happening immediately, and which I guess is why they're going to be able to hopefully open it before the end of 2026. They're starting now. And the thing is though, they're basically starting with a blank slate with the Launch Bay. There's really nothing in there, and so it's going to be awesome.
I am curious if they're going to take the Star Wars meet and greets to over by Star Tours, or if they're just going to go back to Galaxy's Edge and have actual meet and greets back there. But I'm not as big as Star Wars person, so I can take it or leave it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where they would be able to do it, because the one good thing about them being in the Launch Bay is that they were inside and that you didn't have to stand out in the heat. And I don't know if there's a good space in wherever. There's definitely, I don't know that there's a space at all near Star Tours. I'm trying to think. There might be a building to the left of Star Tours where they used to do the little, the Star Wars Jedi Academy thing. There might be space over there, but I can't think of a space in Galaxy's Edge where they have an extra building or location that would work.
Although they could have a door somewhere that leads to something that you have never seen before in Galaxy's Edge. So, TBD on that. All right, let's jump into the episode. Today, we're going to dig into what it's like to visit Universal Orlando with kids. It's a common myth that Universal is just for teens or thrill seekers, but there's actually quite a bit to do for younger kids too. You just kind of got to know where to look.
Yeah. And we're going to go through the different areas and break it down by age group and where to stay, what to ride, what play areas are worth it, kind of where you can potentially take breaks. And yeah, whether you have a younger kid that's on the toddler age or that tween 8 to 10-year-old preteen kind of area, this is definitely a good episode for you to think through. And just as a reminder, Krystle's kids are on the younger side. She has a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And then I have a almost 12-year-old and almost 14-year-old. So a lot of this is definitely, I've been through this phase and I've been to Universal through this phase, or my kids have. And Krystle is kind of in this phase. So she'll be able to talk through, struggles that she would currently have.
We're putting our mom hats on.
Yes.
All right. First, we're going to talk about where to stay. There are a very select few. They're hard to book. They're hard to find, but suites, kid suites, special themed. There's Minions at Lowe's Portofino Bay. There's Jurassic World at Royal Pacific, and then Despicable Me at Hard Rock Hotel. These are super immersive. They have additional adult sleeping spaces. In fact, when we were there in February, our Universal rep, we were doing tours and we can go into special rooms. They call it room tours. We can see spaces like the club lounge and different things. He's been doing this for 8 or 9 years and he does these tours multiple times a year. He has ever only been in those suites one time because they're never free. They're never open because they are booked so tight. So it's possible to find them if you go on a random Tuesday night in May, but you just have to be really flexible and maybe book early and probably do a split stay, maybe 1 or 2 nights in a kid's suite and then go to a regular room the rest of your stay.
Yeah. I mean, these hotels, have hundreds of rooms and they have like 20 suites. And that's just off the top of my head, so don't quote me on the number, but it's a very low number of suites in comparison to the amount of rooms that they have. Also, just of note, they have the 2 different sleeping spaces, but they still sleep 4 people. So it's not, when you think of a suite as having like multiple bedrooms and sleeping lots of people, that's not the way that these suites work. They are truly, because of the immersiveness of the rooms, that's why they have the separate space. But they still have basically 2 beds specific to kids instead of having, being able to sleep 6 or 8 people. The other spaces that do actually have more of a, like where they sleep a little bit more people, Cabana Bay Beach Resort, they have family suites. They have a little kitchenette and they have a sliding partition that allows you to sleep 6. You have 2 queen beds and then a sleeper sofa. It also has a lazy river, has a bowling alley. It is super colorful and just the vibe overall is amazing. We stayed there in February when we were there and I absolutely loved the resort. I was actually pleasantly surprised by the space. I loved it more than I thought I was going to. This is also a really great resort for non-park days or midday breaks because it has a great pool and it has the lazy river and it has the other options that you can go to, like the bowling alley. The second place is Dockside Inn and Suites. They do have a 2-bedroom family suite with a kitchenette. It's very budget friendly for larger families. And like all of the hotels at Universal, it does include early park entry and transportation to all of the parks. My parents and my sister's family stayed in one of these suites, I think 2 summers ago, and they loved it. And they loved the quick service. They loved the resort. They loved the whole thing. So it's a really great option for a family.
All right, let's talk about babies and toddlers. So you might think Universal isn't baby friendly, but there are a lot of things you can do with toddlers, preschoolers, babies. First, let's talk about the play areas and rides. DreamWorks Land, this is a brand new space. It's perfect for littles. You have Poppy's Playground, shaded, it's soft, safe. There's Poe's Kung Fu Training Camp. There's like water features, gongs, spinning bowls, climbing things. Seuss Landing is super toddler friendly. You have the Carousel, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, The Cat in the Hat, Oh the Stories You'll Hear, musical show with Seuss characters. Super Nintendo World, you have Yoshi's Adventure. It does have a 34-inch height requirement, but think of the People Mover. It's like a gentle, slow-moving ride on a Yoshi vehicle. Kids get a great aerial view of the land, passing by bright, colorful scenery inspired by Mario games. Character meet and greets with Mario, Luigi, and Princess Peach. Still epic. How to Train Your Dragon, Isle Burke. You have Hiccup Swing Gliders. It's a height requirement of 40 inches. A gentle, smooth family coaster where kids get to fly on the back of a dragon. It's fun, but it's not too intense. You have Fire Drill. There's no height requirement. It's a playful Viking boat ride where kids use water cannons to aim at targets. Perfect for those warmer days. Perfect for competitive littles. There's also the very big Viking training camp. It's a multi-level play area with drums, slides. It's massive.
Yeah. Think like Boneyard massive with lots of places where they can climb and play and get all that energy out.
Yes. Then in Celestial Park, this area overall is just a great space for all ages. There are lots of little pockets where you can take a moment to just relax and let the littles run. You have no height requirement on the Constellation Carousel. This has mythical creatures, and the ride is smooth and gentle, making it ideal for littles who just want to relax, enjoy, and ride a ride. And then Astronomica is a splash pad with dancing water jets that will keep younger ones cool and entertained. So there are a handful of no height or low height rides. Hogwarts Express, the animal actors on location, Shrek Swamp Meet, the Speckle Minion Mayhem. There are non-motion seats available. Just ask a cast or a team member. Constellation Carousel, Super Nintendo character meet and greets.
If you're looking for baby care centers, you are going to find baby care centers near the first aid stations at all the parks. They include changing stations, bottle warmers, nursing rooms, private spaces for downtime. Sometimes you just need to get out of the heat or just the overstimulation of being in the parks. You just need a spot to just chill out. For Universal Studios, the location is near Fast and Furious and the front entrance. For Islands of Adventure, it is near the entrance next to guest services. Volcano Bay, it is also next to the entrance. For Epic Universe, it is near Ministry of Magic and the Helios Grand Hotel. For stroller rentals, if you don't want to bring your own stroller, you do have the option to rent a stroller. It is $40 a day for a double stroller at Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and Epic Universe. There are no rentals at Volcano Bay, so you'll need to bring your own if you want to have one there. And obviously, bringing your own is typically going to be the better option. I realize sometimes it can be a hassle if you're flying to bring your own stroller, but if you have the opportunity, usually it's going to be the best bet.
Or even just renting one. We have third-party people in Orlando that you can meet. They can drop it off at your hotel, and they're going to be a lot more comfortable and sturdy than like the hard plastic, whatever they're renting.
They're also much more economical. I mean, it's usually like $100 for the whole week when you rent it through one of our third-party rentals. And they're, like Krystle's saying, they're super accommodating. They're just very nice. They meet you at the resort. You don't have to go pick up the stroller. They bring it to you.
And then you have it outside the park. There's nothing worse than a sleeping baby as you're getting ready to leave the park and you have to take the baby out and give the stroller back and then carry all your crap and the baby and deal with that nonsense.
Yeah, I agree. So moving on to rides that are for a little bit older kids, but they're still, not major thrill rides, but they're maybe ages kind of in the 5 to 12-year-old zone. This is also a lot of times when they really start to love Harry Potter. So if you have Harry Potter fans, now you have Ministry of Magic, which is in Epic Universe. And then you have Hogsmeade in Islands of Adventure. And then you have Diagon Alley that's in Universal Studios. Some of the cool things they can do, they have the Ollivander's wand experience. They have the ability to go in and the wand chooses a wizard. If you have Harry Potter fans, you know that would just, I'm, almost 50 and this makes me happy. So if you definitely have a Harry Potter fan, they'll love that. There's spell casting zones. So if you buy the wands that are interactive, you can go into these different areas and there's particular motions that you can make and it will make the magic happen. And Krystle and I actually saw this I think it was in Diagon Alley. There was a Universal cast member that was helping a little boy with his wand, and he was so amazed, and it was the most precious thing ever. Butterbeer, of course, there's all the different types of butterbeer. I think Krystle and I both like frozen the best, but you have frozen, you have the regular, you have hot, and I think they have like ice cream. There's all the different types.
They have crepes.
Yes, exactly. But that's always something that any kid's going to enjoy. I mean, it's like a sugar high basically to drink it. So it's so good.
Never had it. It's almost like cream soda-esque.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, and
Exactly, but
it has a little bit of something else in there. It's so yummy. And then you have the Hippogriff coaster. You do have 36-inch height requirement. Forbidden Journey. Do not put your child on it if they have any issues with motion sickness. Green Guts as well as a coaster. Green Guts can be a little bit on the intense side, so just kind of double check that one, or maybe do a video of that one just to make sure your kid's okay with that one. And then Battle at the Ministry, which is in Epic Universe, that has a height requirement of 40 inches. In Super Nintendo World, they have Mario Kart, Bowser's Challenge, that's a 40-inch minimum requirement. They have interactive power band mini games. Those are really neat. If you have the opportunity to buy the power up band, being able to use it throughout the park. I mean, I think the adults, those of us that were around when the first Super Nintendo came out, those are exciting for all of us as well. And then again, you do have the photo ops with Mario, Luigi, and Princess Peach. And just the environment in general is, I mean, it looks like you walked into the video game. And if you have kids that love anything Super Nintendo, like Mario Kart or the original Super Nintendo games, any of those things, it's amazing. I can't wait to go. Some of the other things, Pteranodon Flyers, that is in the Jurassic Park area. So the kids can ride it. Adults cannot ride it unless they have a child under 56 inches. So if you're an adult, the only way you can get on this ride is if you have a little kid. So just FYI. The Kang and Kodos, it's a twirl and hurl. The DreamWorks shows like Po Live, it's kind of like Turtle Talk if you're used to Walt Disney World. So those are some good options for your ages from, 5 to 12. And depending on how brave your child is, they may be able to do more, but those are some good options for that age range.
Moving on to tweens, and if you have braver kids, if they might be ready for a thrill ride, some good starter thrills would be Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, Revenge of the Mummy, Transformers 3D, Spider-Man, Gringotts Bank Escape, Curse of the Werewolf, Dark Universe. Even if the ride may be a little intense, a lot of the queues are very cool just to like walk through.
Yeah.
And then you can just tell them you're not going to ride and they'll let you out. A warning about Dark Universe though. It can be a little intense with a little bit creepy, dark, theming, loud sound effects. Kids who love Halloween might be into it. Others might be overwhelmed. Obviously, you know your kid best. Don't force it. Maybe watch some YouTube walkthroughs or you visit Walk in the Land before you take your kid into the land. So don't just expect that they're going to like that. All right. One of my favorite features with little kids, it doesn't matter which theme park I'm at, is Rider Switch. It's a lifesaver. And especially if not everyone can or wants to ride, you as a parent still get the experience. So basically, you tell a team member at the entrance that you need Rider Switch. You'll go at Universal. It's a little bit different than at Disney. At Universal, you will go through the queue. And then at the end, before you load the ride, there is a Rider Switch room. It's air conditioned. Sometimes there's a movie playing. There's benches. One rider stays behind while the other rides. And then when one rider is done, you'll switch. If you have more than one kid, like we do this a lot with Calder and Harper, Calder will get to go twice if he's tall enough and Harper's not, because one kid usually can go back with the second rider, so you don't have to ride by yourself. So we always have fights about who gets to ride. Sometimes a nice cast member will be like, oh, they can both go, but don't plan on that.
Yeah, I've never really had to do this, but just listening to Krystle talk about it, I know that it's such a huge benefit for any of the different parks. I think because my kids, Lena is not a huge roller coaster person, or she doesn't love to do like the upside down roller coaster. She's okay with some roller coasters, and Ella wants to ride everything. So as long as I'm there with Rob, Lena's just stayed, and Rob's not a huge roller coaster person either, so he doesn't care if he misses out on it. So it's easy it's easier for us because he usually stays behind with Lena.
I will mention really quick, these can be for anybody who thinks it might not work for them. They don't have to be like under the height limit. It could be a teen that thinks it's too intense
Yeah.
and maybe is not great at waiting outside by themselves. So
Yeah, Lena is my oldest, and she was able to ride all the stuff. She didn't, but she was tall enough to ride all the things. Ella was the one that was too short and couldn't ride everything and had to wait. So it definitely can be an older child that doesn't want to ride and wants to stay behind, and if you're just there just yourself, then it makes it more difficult. Okay, for food, snacks, and dining. Universal has a lot of great kid-friendly staples. They definitely have this part covered. Chicken strips, fries, pizza, mac and cheese, pasta, those kinds of things at their quick service spots in the parks. The resort food courts are also fantastic. The ones that we've experienced so far have had great options. I mean, they've had great options across the board, and they've definitely had options for little kids to have their chicken nuggets or chicken strips kind of stuff. If you have your Harry Potter fans, they do have 2 spots. They have the Leaky Cauldron and Three Broomsticks. They're both quick service in the 2 different parks. So they do also have, just as an FYI, they do have a quick service in Epic Universe in the Ministry of Magic. It's called Cafe L'Air de Serene, but it doesn't have, it's not quite the same as with the kid-friendly options. They could get a plain baguette sandwich if they wanted, but both Leaky Cauldron and Three Broomsticks, they both have breakfast options, and they have kid-friendly breakfast options. And then for lunch and dinner options, they both have mac and cheese. And then the Three Broomsticks has chicken fingers. So if you have someone that really wants the chicken fingers kind of type thing, you probably want to go to Three Broomsticks. Other things like we talked about, some other fun treats. They have butterbeer. You have the frozen, regular, hot, or the crepes or the ice cream, all the butterbeer things you can get. You have large, lad, giant donut in the Simpsons area. And then, of course, they just have typical like pretzel dogs, churros, ices, that kind of thing all throughout the park. They also have popcorn everywhere, and refillable cups if you wanted to purchase one of those.
we have the Coke refill machines, which I love. Disney does not have that. So Universal is on it with those.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's talk character dining. There are 2 options. Well, 1.5. You have the Marvel Superhero Diner, Marvel Superhero Dinner at Cafe 4. You can meet Spider-Man, Captain America, Storm, and Wolverine. And then seasonally, you have the Grinch and Friends Character Breakfast. It's very popular. You can interact and meet the Grinch, who is phenomenal, Max, and Whoville residents. Tickets for that always goes really fast. So if that's on your radar, let us know, because it's like a announce and sell out in less than 24 hours experience.
And you do have to reserve the superhero dinner as well. So that's something that you have to reserve as part of when you're doing your reservation. You have to make sure you have that in place. You can't just walk up to that one.
Let's talk about the characters you can find in the park, because that is something that my little kids like to do. And there's a lot on the list that I didn't even realize that you can find and meet. So there's quite the list. We're just going to go through it quickly. So bear with us.
In DreamWorks, you have Gabby Doll from Gabby's Dollhouse. You have Poppy and Branch from Trolls. You have Shrek, Donkey, and Fiona from, of course, Shrek. And there's also SpongeBob and Patrick at the SpongeBob SorePants store.
In Marvel Superhero Island, you can meet Spider-Man, Storm, Rogue, Wolverine, Cyclops, Captain America, villains like Doctor Doom and Green Goblin.
The Illumination Theater, you can meet Minions, Gru, Margot, Edith, and Agnes. And you can also meet the Sing characters.
In Seuss Land, there's Cat in the Hat, Thing 1 and Thing 2, Scam I Am, Grinch, and Max. And he is more of like the old animated Grinch.
Yeah.
Depending on the time of year, the Grinch you meet is different.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. In the Hollywood Character Zone, you can meet Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, the Simpsons family, Hello Kitty, Betty Boop, and Doc Brown. my mom got a picture with Betty Boop, so we saw her out and about. Yeah.
And also, I think once in a while you can see Marilyn roaming around Hollywood. Marilyn Monroe. This is limited time. You can see Ethelbert and Glinda from Wicked walking around.
The raptor encounter, this is something that I haven't done yet, and I would really like to. There's usually a pretty long line. You can meet Blue, Bravo, and baby raptors. They're very interactive, and it's fun to see people, like the videos and things that people post of those interactions are pretty fun.
One that Calder would get a kick out of is the Transformers. You can meet Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and Megatron.
And we've talked about in Super Nintendo World, you can meet Mario, Luigi, and Princess Peach.
Last but definitely not least, in Isle of Berg, there are a handful of characters walking around, all the dragons with their handlers, but you can also meet Hiccup and Toothless, which is the sweetest interaction. So if you have time.
I cannot wait. That is on my list. If I go to Epic Universe in October, it's on my list. Must do. Okay, so some of the shows that you can see that are typically pretty kid friendly. Hogwarts Always. It's a castle production show in Hogsmeade. Poe Live. It's interactive DreamWorks show. Like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like Turtle Talk. The Stories You'll Hear is a musical Dr. Seuss show. Animal Actors. This is very funny and kid friendly. We actually did this, and it has all kinds of animals, birds, cats, dogs, that they do all these cute little things on stage. And then there is a horror makeup show. It's dark humor and good for maybe older kids. It may just kind of fly over the heads and of smaller kids. They just wouldn't enjoy it necessarily.
Just a couple of tips. Universal's known for their screen rides. So if they have motion sickness, we can give you a list of rides that may cause motion sickness. Height requirements. I always like to prep my kids early so there's no surprise. Just because you measure at home in there, the right height might not be the case depending on the team member. Even on the same day, different parks may do different things, as Harper has encountered.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
If you can, use Rider Switch. We always suggest planning breaks, especially with little kids. Not all characters are going to be recognizable to younger kids. There are a lot on that list that my kids would have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
There's half of it, they're probably, oh yeah, but other ones, they'd be like, who's Doc Brown? Who is Betty Boop?
Or who's Betty Boop? Yeah. Yeah. They may like them just because they're characters, but they may not know. They may have to ask you, like, who is that?
This is we need to have a movie marathon before we go to Universal to prepare them. And then just the warning about Dark Universe again, just use discretion.
And as someone that gets motion sickness, I can just reiterate what Krystle said. I get motion sickness, but my kids don't typically. And we rode the Jimmy Fallon ride, and I was about down for the count after that. And my girls got sick, and they don't get sick, but because it's a screen motion and he's like zooming all around the city and it's 3D, you have to wear 3D glasses. And yeah, no bueno for sure.
Same with Forbidden Journey. I'm not usually one to get motion sick. I will get a little bit of car sick if I'm like texting in the car, like if it's stopping go traffic. But not usually. Like it's just more like a headache. And Forbidden Journey hit me hard. That hit me hard.
Yeah. With that queue, you were mentioning like sometimes even if they can't get on the ride, the queue is amazing. That queue, don't skip that queue because that's the Hogwarts Castle and the queue is amazing. Just get out of line when it's time to get on the ride. So kind of to summarize everything that we've gone through, I feel like there's a lot of great options for kids. We started out in the very beginning of the episode saying most people think of Universal Orlando as thrill rides. And yes, they do have a ton of thrill rides. And if you have someone in your family or in your party that's going on vacation that loves thrill rides, this is a great spot for them. But if you also have a kind of a mixed group where you have some people that love thrill rides and then you have some people that either don't like the thrill rides or you have younger kids, Universal is absolutely somewhere that you can go as a extended family or a larger group that has multiple different styles. You just, have to plan out your days where some go in some area and some go in another. And that's completely doable as long as you work through who goes where and what the priorities are for each person.
Hopefully we gave you some good ideas for your little ones for your next Universal trip, especially with Epic. There's so much going on at Universal right now. It's worth the trip. Splash pads to playgrounds to toddler-friendly rides. And as they get older, it only gets better. So let us know. We'd love to help you plan your next Universal getaway.
Yeah, we would love it. We hope that you all have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.